Tonight we're going to talk about some of the many benefits that we have as members of an electric co-op, and we're going to start off with nothing better than a quiz, and not just any quiz, but an engineering quiz. But it's not too hard. Around the turn of the century, the National Academy of Engineers and American Association of Engineers ranked the #1 engineering accomplishment of the 20th century, and our choices are airplanes, space and travel, landing on the moon, the automobile, computers, cell phones, ATVs, side-by-sides, titanium drivers, or electricity. And just a little hint, it's electric co-op you're hearing from tonight, so surprise, surprise, electricity. So all the previous items, one interesting point is all those previous items we had on the screen all required electricity to use them. So there's many benefits of electricity in the 20th century, and there's many more ahead of us with all the technological developments that we'll have. Tonight's topic is still adapting the time-tested technology of electricity to serve present and future needs and provide you with benefits that make it easier, more convenient, and more efficient to turn on your lights, charge your batteries, and heat or cool your favorite beverage. I wanted to talk a little bit about the meter replacement project that we started this last year. It's been very successful so far. We've been switching to the Aclara system, and we started that project basically in the Cloquet area and north of Cloquet. Grand Lake and Knife Falls are the two substation names that we have for that, but it's really that area north of Cloquet. And we've had 4 months now of using that system, and we haven't had to have a single estimated bill. So all of our bills have come in. All the meters have been working well. So it's met all of our requirements. We will be rolling that out now over the next 2 years, so it'll be, we'll really be in this area. We'll be here in Cromwell next September, so I'll cover that here in a second. But one nice feature of the new metering system is it really helps us with outage detection and notification. Now, it's still important to call in when you have an outage because that is the fastest way to assure that we get out there as quick as possible, but we have noticed that the system has actually beaten member calls in several cases in reporting outages. But there are times that it could be 25 minutes later than a member call as well, because it can take anywhere for us from anywhere up to an hour to find a meter that's out. So there are times that it's better for you to call in and still beat that. But the good news is that you won't be out for days. We will know if you're out of power, typically within an hour or less. When we look at the deployment schedule for this year, it's pretty much all of Grand Rapids we'll do this year between April and October. And then we're going to finish up the year Hibbing to Cotton. So we'll kind of go back up to the northern part of the system, and that'll wrap up this year's meter deployment. Then starting next year, we'll finish all the rest of the northern area of Lake Country Power, and then we'll come down here to the Kettle River area. So you can see Cromwell is targeted for September of next year. Now I'm going to show a quick video here from our director, or from our metering engineer, Ryan Ferguson.
This is a very big project. We have currently about 68,000 meters deployed on our system. So this project not only entails replacing all of those meters, but it also entails putting the infrastructure in place to communicate that into all of our substations. It's been a priority from day one that we capture everyone's interest so we can capture all of the members' needs with this new system. The biggest benefits to the members with the new metering system are we're going to have better reliability of the data. So we're going to have better access to data, we're going to minimize estimated bills. The other big benefit with the new system is outage restoration. We're going to have better availability of data. The new meters are going to have better capabilities to detect when outages are occurring and to help with restoration. So we should see improvements in our outage response.
Next I'm going to talk about, as our theme is benefits, it's some of the construction projects for next year. And I'm sure if you've been to these before, you've seen me hold up my wire, and I've talked about the fact that, this is what we're getting off the system. This is a lot of the 40s and 50s vintage copper lines that serve number 8. This is number 8 here, but we're putting up aluminum conductor now, and this is a piece of 4/0 that we typically use for our 3-phase lines when we go up for replacement. So you can see quite a bit bigger, stronger, more capacity. So there's a lot of benefits to us doing these system projects. We're trying to reduce costs by minimizing our operation and maintenance costs. We're trying to increase reliability. We're trying to make sure there's capacity there so that you can take advantage of some of the load management programs that you'll hear about later tonight. When we look at these, we typically target 4 different things for our age projects. One, of course, we look at the age of the assets, the poles in line, how old are they? But then we also look at the number of members that are served, And right now we're trying to target line sections that have more than 50 members. And then we're also looking at, we have 147 different feeder sections that we keep track of, and we keep track of the outage duration on each one of those, and we rank those. So we're trying to get the ones that are the worst performing in terms of outage duration, and then we also look at loading. So we're trying to basically spend our dollars as wisely as possible. This project here is in Cedar Valley, so this is actually just a little bit south of Jacobson, and it's an age project. We're going to replace some of that old copper that I showed with 1-aught. And then we've got a project over by Sturgeon Lake, and this is one that the crews submitted. We also listened to the crews. We save 5 miles of projects every year for feedback from them to look at areas that are problematic for outage restoration. And this was a cross-country section that was difficult to get to, so we'll be replacing that with underground. And finally, we've got that Knife Falls substation that we built last year. It has a 3-phase line that runs down to basically north of Esco. And this is a section here, about a 2-mile section that's a choke point. It's only 2-phase and it's small conductor. So we'll be replacing that so that we have proper voltage support. Then I'd like to talk about tree clearing. When we're on the theme of benefits, there's really no better way that we could invest member dollars than in cutting the trees. In any given year, 80 to 90% of our outages are tree related. So the money that we put here is well spent in terms of increasing reliability. And I'm happy to say that we are in our 6th year this year of a 7-year cycle. So next year we will actually have been through the entire area, all of our substations, all of our lines, and cleared them appropriately. So the 2nd year when we go through, we can really target some of those danger trees on the outlying areas and really increase the reliability. We have a big job this year. We have 970 miles. We will be doing Wright and Big Sandy, so just a little bit west of here. And Lake States will be doing those. Lake States did get a jump on this because our typical year is 870 miles, and we have 970 for this year. So they did almost 100 miles last year. So we're back on track to have a standard year. So should be good. We'll be up in the Grand Rapids area for the remainder part of the year. And then I'd like to finish up with just a little information about the tree crews since we brought those on last year. We're really happy with the results. They completed 846 member tree requests, and so that's done by our staff now. If you call in and have a tree in your yard, it'll be our staff that comes out and addresses that. And they did 846 tree requests and 262 danger trees. And our target for them for payback was 112,000, and I'm happy to say they actually hit 145. So we exceeded the target for payback, so we're very happy with the performance of our tree crews. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Jeff Sheldon, our Manager of Energy Services.
First of all, I want to announce, and maybe many of you know the technicians down at the Kettle River area. Last September, we had 1 retire, and the year before that, we had another 1 retire. So we got 2 brand new electricians. One started last year. Mike Clockey was introduced. He was a lineman, crew chief lineman. He is also a journeyman licensed electrician. He's out of the McGregor office. And Jake Cohen just got his journeyman's electrical license out of Kettle River. So you're going to see 2 brand new faces running around down here, checking out stuff, fixing heating stuff, looking at your water heater. So take a good look at their faces, take a picture of them, do whatever you would like to do. I'd like to see here, this is a national average of how people's houses energy use. Now this is national average. If you want to look at Lake Country Power's average, it may be a little bit different. As of last week, as you know how beautifully warm it was, you're going to see a lot more space heating and a lot more probably water heating and not so much cooling. But this is, again, is a national average. And you can kind of look around, but again, our heating would probably be twice, if not 3 times that much for Lake Country Power. Now, how many of you last year seen our promotion on our ductless air source heat pumps and our standard air source heat pump systems that go in furnaces? Anybody take advantage of that and put one in? Great. Well, we had a 3-month window last year that we really increased the rebates on to get people interested, and the phones rang off the hooks. And Lake Country, over 160 Lake Country members put them in and got an increased rebate, about $700 to $50 on some and $500 on others. And it was a crunch, and the contractors got behind. So this year, we asked GRE, our power supplier, if we couldn't maybe run this promotion rebate all year long, so you had all year now, to call a contractor, get a bid, and be able to get one in before summer comes, which is just around the corner, by the way. How many in here participate in a water heating program, dual fuel, off-peak heat? I know there's quite a few of you. I see a lot of you here. Well, on the upper right is the Marathon water heaters. We've sold them for many years. We still sell them at Lake Country Power. You can pick them right up here at the Kettle River office. The unit down below is a Steffes storage furnace with bricks in it. That's on our off-peak rate. It's a cheap rate of 4.95 cents a kilowatt. We sell those at Lake Country Power also. We don't stock them because we need to size them for your house. Each house may take a different size. Now we sell them to you at wholesale cost, exactly what it costs them to ship from the factory to our door. No markup, zero. And when you get them installed, we give you a rebate on top of that. So you even get a knockoff. So with that in mind, you're getting a pretty cheap product. The upper left one, how many on dual fuel in here? Quite a few? I know we've got some. How many of you have a plenum heater? You ever heard of them big toasters? There's a guy. How many of you have tubing or hot water? You got a boiler, like gas and oil boiler. On the slide before, I showed a ductless air source heat pump. How many don't have any ductwork in their house? None. You got tubing, whatever. Those other units work great for heating your house and air conditioning both.
Off-peak is a term describing energy that's used between the hours of 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. Being that it's electric heat, it's 100% efficient. You're not burning a fuel. The rates are very competitive versus propane and fuel oil, which are the other choices in rural America. We feel strongly that it's a good product, and Steffes has been a good partner with us. Their customer support is outstanding. Between their technical support and their sales team, we've been able to solve any issues that our members have had with that product. We sell the products at our cost, including the control equipment, and then we maintain parts so that we can repair those heating systems. In addition, we rebate those systems at a rate of $50 per kW of installed heat. So they're actually getting a heating system for less than the cost from the manufacturer.
We are having more and more folks buy electric cars. They're going over 200 miles to charge now. And most of them park them in their garage, charge them up, plug them in, and they're 240 volt like a water heater plug-in. And we have rebates up to $800 for doing that. And the nice thing about it is that we've got a program at Lake Country where they charge at night at 4.8 cents a kilowatt, which means about equivalent to paying about 75 cents a gallon for gas to charge your car. So with that in mind, you can all call Tesla or Chevrolet and order a Chevy Bolt, and they'll maybe get one ordered for you. Maybe you'll go to Duluth and get it and bring it home. Call me, we'll get a charger put in for you. We've got a little video here on these cars. I did drive a Tesla 2 years ago in Eden Prairie. And they're really fast because there's no transmission. You put on the gas, they just go. So you can get a speeding ticket just easy in one of them as you can in your gas car. We're having more and more of our Lake Country Power members purchase electric vehicles for their own personal use that live up here. And they have their own chargers in their garages on our off-peak electric rate.
You can pull up their app and we can go ahead and summons, they call the car, which means we can tell it to back up the car automatically and pull out of the garage.
Electricity is the only energy source that's increasingly cleaner. And through Lake Country Power's program Revolt, every car and every kilowatt hour it pulls is fueled 100% by renewable wind energy.
I want to talk about an app called Smart Hub. Anybody in here registered Smart Hub users? Okay, we've got a few. There's a couple different consumer interfaces. You can get to it from a computer on a web page, or there's a mobile app you can access. Several useful things you can do in there. The obvious stuff of like view and pay your bill. That's you can sign up for automatic payments. But this graph here on the top of the screen, what that one is you can view your usage. When we get the metering infrastructure that Derek was talking about, when we get that fully deployed, get that installed, The plan is to be able to show you that usage on an hourly basis. So you'll be able to track, when you're using, if you have questions on, look at your bill, like how would I use that much, you can go back and look at what hour of what day, and you can look at your own usage patterns if you wanted a pattern against that. There's that black horizontal line on there. It'll display an average temperature at the same time as your usage, so you can see if your usage fluctuates with the weather. If you have electric heat, it obviously does. One other very useful thing in here is I saw a few hands go up for dual fuel customers. You can sign up in there for notifications. We will either send you a text message or an email if we're going to control your heat. Typically, we'll do it on some of the coldest days of the year, typically late afternoon to evening hours for a 3 to 4 hour window. But as soon as we know that's going to happen, we can shoot a notification out to you so you're not surprised. If there's any preparation you have to do for your backup source, you can do that. Another thing in there is outage reporting. You can report an outage right from the app. Say you're laying in bed 2 in the morning, you can hear your power go out, roll over, grab your phone, report your outage, go back to bed. It comes right back to our office. We know of it. You don't have to call us anymore. The new metering stuff that Derek talked about, that will tell us too, but we still want you to notify us just in case there's some glitch where you think we know and we don't know, but that app will communicate directly with our outage management system. I am the numbers guy, so you get me to talk about rates, but the rate news is good news. About a year ago, I would have told you very likely we need to do some sort of rate adjustment in 2019. That's not looking like it's going to be the case. Part of it's the weather we've seen so far this winter. We have a lot of electric heat, and when it's been as cold as it was, our sales go up, and that's a good thing for us. But several other things factor into play. One of them is, I don't know if you're aware of, there was a federal disaster declaration up in this neck of the woods, more so on the north side of our territory around Lake Vermilion and Ely areas, but it was a different sort of declaration. Normally you'd hear it if there's one major storm and it's declared for damages in a day. This one covered roughly a month. So we were able to submit all of our storm costs for a period of almost a month to the federal government. So that submission's been done. We calculated everything. So we could be looking at upwards of $900,000 coming back to us from a combination of FEMA and the state disaster agency and storm reimbursement. So that's beneficial to us. We should see that sometime in 2019. That'll help offset rates. Another piece of it, you heard people reference GRE or Great River Energy. We're a distribution co-op. We own the substations and the distribution lines out to your homes, but we're one of 28 owners of GRE. They own the power plants and the big transmission lines. They had a really good 2018, and they were passing that on to us throughout the course of the year in monthly power cost adjustment credits. That ended up in excess of about $1.1 million, the credits to us. In addition to that, in December, they did a $10 million essentially refund to their member owners, and our share of that was over $500,000. So roughly $1.5 million we saw in credits from our power supplier that weren't budgeted and that weren't set in our rates. So what we would normally do in that case is we would have extra net income. So that's in our margin. That gets allocated out to you in capital credits, and I'll touch on that in a bit. But we asked for approval from the Rural Utilities Service. Used to be called the REA, now it's the RUS. Asked for approval to take $2 million from 2018 and defer it into 2019 and 2020 with the intent of offsetting any future rate impacts. We felt the members were better served if we could create benefit now in the form of lower rates rather than capital credits that we would pay back over time. I assume most people would agree with that. So those couple of things have kind of changed the landscape and where we thought we would be with rates to where we think we're going to be now. We should be able to make it through 2019 without any sort of rate impacts. That's the plan. No rate increase. Mother Nature can change that, but the plan right now is that rates are going to remain stable for the foreseeable future. Capital credits, I touched on that. In December, you probably saw a credit on your bill if you looked at it in bright green letters that said capital credit applied. We retired, and retire is the term we use when we pay it back, repay it. I retired $3 million to our members in December, and we've retired over $47 million since the formation of Lake Country Power and the 3 predecessor co-ops that came together to create Lake Country Power. So that's a major benefit of co-op membership. Our income at the end of every year gets allocated out to you and paid back to you over time. Scholarship program, we've got a great scholarship program. If you know anybody who, like a senior in high school, if their parents or guardians are Lake Country Power members, have them get in contact with us. We've got a program where they're eligible for up to $4,000 in scholarships from us. $1,000 a year, renewable for up to 4 years. If they stay in school and maintain, I believe it's a 2.5 GPA. And it's a citizen board that looks at the applications and picks the winners. And we're not always looking for, the 4.0 students. We're looking for, we've got scholarships for trade schools, universities, the lineman schools throughout the state. Every high school in our service territory has one scholarship plus those trade schools. The reason we're able to do that, that's not, in a sense, money coming from electric rates that's funding that program. What it is unclaimed capital credits. So when somebody moves off the system and we try to pay back their capital credits but we don't know where they are, we can't find them. So then it's unclaimed and we still have it. State law allows us to take that and use it for charitable purposes, more specifically educational purposes. So every time we try to send out capital credits and we don't know where they are, we can't get them to people. 7 years later, we have to hang on to it, publish a list of unclaimed capital credits. We put it on our website, so take a look at that. If you're browsing the web, you're on our page, you might know somebody on the list. But after 7 years, we're able to use that for charitable or educational purposes. So that's how we fund our scholarship program. Anybody in here participated in Operation Roundup or familiar with what it is? Okay, there's several. I would encourage really all of you to do that. It's such a great program. And how it works is every month you agree to round up your bill to the next dollar. So the most it could ever cost you in a year is less than $12. And what it does, we've transferred over to a separate legal entity, but it's affiliated with us. And every one of our board members appoints a citizen to serve on that board and review applications from community organizations for grants from that program. And we gave out $186,000 in 2018 through that program, just from every person donating really pennies in some cases, nickels, dimes, quarters, but not a whole lot, not really noticeable on your bill, but when everybody does it together, it creates a huge impact. We started that program in 2004, and since then we've given out over $2.2 million to local community organizations. It all stays local. With that, I'm going to bring Greg back up here to wrap things up.
Thank you, Mark. You can see there's a lot of things been changing, and one other major item we're doing this year is we're building a new headquarters facility in Cohasset. We talked a little bit about last year, but it's just started. It's 68,000 square feet. The old building was built in 1969. The total was 22,000 square feet. A lot of our digger trucks, bucket trucks were parked outside. Employees were really overcrowded, so we are building a new building that should last, we're hoping, for a long time in the future. Another major reason is if you've ever been to our Grand Rapids facility and the road access to Highway 2, it comes in at about a 45-degree angle. Not far to your east is a hill that you can hardly see. The new site is about 0.8 of a mile further west. It comes out on a 90-degree angle, and you can actually see the cars coming at you. It's been a miracle that nobody's had an accident with a big truck, trailer, poles coming out there. They also have the opportunity to go further down the road on the frontage roads to come out at a stoplight. So it's going to be a lot safer access for everybody that visits our facility or for the employees. We're also building an energy efficient. It's all heated in a slab with ground source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps and cooled by ground source heat pumps. And we're looking at completion sometime in probably later summer 2019. And we'll be having an open house when it's all ready, and we're going to have it, so we hope everybody can come and take a look at it. With that, we'll have a little video.
We've got some excellent architects, contractors. I'm going to mention the men and women of the building trades. Thank you to the board of directors. We have a project labor agreement. We're going to be ensured that we have the best construction workers out there, men and women that are working in the trades, and we're gonna have a safe project.
Ultimately, this is your design. I think you've designed a building that you are going to be very proud of for years to come, that the employees and customers are going to be proud of as well.
Directors are challenged with the task to balance costs and investments. I can tell you that Lake Country Power Board works hard to hold down costs, and this will be a good long-term investment for our members.
Okay, another thing that's been, we talked a little bit about Great River Energy and, the good year they've had too. But on top of that, I'm going to talk a little more about Great River Energy. We've got 2 directors on their board. One is Craig Olson, our board president. The other is Bob Bruckbauer. He's in the Reamer area. He is the chairman of their board, of the Great River Board. Right now, in 2025, they had to be 25% renewable. All the energy that they sold had to be renewable by then. In 2018, GRE met that goal already. They were 25% renewable already. And they're looking at, they made a new goal to be, by 2030, to be 50% renewable. Right now, and at 25% renewable, 50% of their energy is carbon free, meaning that the other 25% is coming either from hydro plants or some other form of energy that does not have any fossil fuel burning. They've got long-term wind contracts coming on starting in 2020, 25 years of wind contracts at 2 cents or less with no escalators. So it's really a good market out there for them, and it's going to be very stable energy rates in the future. This is the first year too that they'll be starting retiring capital credits. This will be getting a capital credit check from Lake Country Power. Will be getting a capital credit check from Great River. It is your money, and we're going to have a meeting with the board how we're going to return that. We'll probably either sending a check or it might be added to your retirement this December. But you'll actually see a GRE retirement in your bill too. Another thing they have done in this last couple years, they got out of the Genoa plant, which was a plant they shared with Dairyland. It wasn't cost effective. They got out of that plant. They closed Stanton. Stanton Station was in North Dakota. That was built in 1968. That was not competitive in the market anymore, but it could have been if the market prices were higher. But wind is so cheap, and it closed. The other thing they have done now is you probably heard a lot about the garbage burning plant in Elk River. It's RFD, refuse derived fuel. They just closed that in January too, and the plant will be officially closed in March. So they're getting out of some of the plants that are not efficient and basically carbon producing. So they're looking to the future as well. But they're very stable, and one reason we're also having not a rate increase in 2019 is because they're not having a rate increase in 2019, and they're looking at 2020 as if there's a rate increase, it's very minimal. So it's looking a very stable market in the future. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you for coming out tonight, and we'll open it up for questions, and if you have any, just ask away.